Hey everyone, welcome to episode 108. Are these comics going to make good film and television shows? We got Green Lantern, we got Sacrifices, and we have Ultimate Spider-Man. Let's check it out right now. Alright everybody, thank you so much for coming back to the channel, and I am back in Atlanta. I was in LA for a whole month on that film I was working on, and I am glad to be home, but it was fun. You could probably check out my social media for some of the pictures. We weren't able really to post anything about Crispin Glover and stuff like that, but apparently the director did. So the name of the movie was A Blind Bargain, and I think they have a whole Facebook page that has pictures on it. So you can definitely go check that out. My next piece fell through and got moved till August. So I'm trying to figure out what I'm going to do next. But in the meantime, let's talk about some comics. But remember, too, that while I was away, we launched Mythlords, classic monsters card game. It is on BackerKit. The link is in the description below. We did make our full funding, so it is completely funded. It will be delivered, and we just unlocked the 5th player, so now is the perfect time to jump on. I think we have a little less than 20 days left, but it's a perfect day to jump on now, and we'll talk about it a little bit at the end, or you can see how heavy that was. It knocked the whole thing up. But in the meantime, let's talk about some Green Lantern by my buddy Jeremy Adams. And so this is, it's a little bit convoluted. We have the United Planets. I want to keep saying the United Federation of Planets, but that's, Star Trek. But yeah, so we have a United Federation, United Planets, something to that effect, that now took over for the Guardians of Oa. And they have nefarious things going on. They're just plain meanies, and they are destroying power batteries led by this guy named Tharos, not to be confused with Thanos, which is very close. So anyway, Hal is trying to get in there and tell them what's going on, and in the meantime, all hell is breaking loose. And so we have, and I can't really wait to see Carol back in the Star Sapphire uniform. I hope they keep it, as sexy as it was in the past, because I miss her being a Star Sapphire, and that's what I kind of miss about the whole multi-lantern color thing that the Jeff Johns used to do. But anyway, so we start out on Zamora here, or Zamaron. The United Planets goes in here and says, well, if you're not going to join us, I'm just going to blow up your battery. No way. Yeah. Okay, bye. Then we switch over to Carol, who is having a crisis because she's still in love with Hal, but she's dating this guy, and she's like, I'm never going to be over him unless I do something. So that's where we leave it for right now. And meanwhile, we have Jo, who's got the one with the really funky glasses. She's kind of leading this whole rebellion thing going on. Kyle's sitting in the corner sucking his thumb. I don't know what's going on over there. But one of the bird guys like, yeah, you can take me in there and I'll be your guy because I overheard everything. Tharos told me exactly what was going on, and I was supposed to be part of it, but I'm going to fight against it. So meanwhile, we have this flashback of Carol when she first meets Hal in school, and Hal is getting in trouble, and Hal decides that he's going to go steal the principal's car. That's always a good idea. So that's what he does. He goes out joyriding, and then he goes and picks her up and says, let's go to Vegas, or whatever he says. So they go off, and meanwhile, then we switch back to the Lanterns, and they're marching him in to go talk to the United Planets and telling them what's going to happen here and, what the nefarious stuff's going on. And they accuse Tharos, and Tharos is like, yeah, you're right, whatever. What are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? So then we go back to, they're going through, it was Vegas. And that's why I think Carol decides that she is now going to propose to the guy she's dating. and says, hey, let's go get married in Vegas. And, they even pick the green ring if you do the bottom panel. So they're getting married by Superman. Because in Vegas, you can have any kind of, marriage you want. You can have a Star Wars wedding. Apparently, this is a Superman wedding. And the pink ring finds her. And then we got this stupid backup story with Guy Gardner. He's got the wrong Zarnian. He thinks it's Lobo, but it's not, and all that stuff. And then we get this backup story about this woman who was 91 and was still drawing comics, which I think is kind of cool, especially when they have Aquaman and Mera there, which, are two of my favorite characters, and though we haven't seen them in a while. No, I like it. I like it a lot, and I hope that we see Carol back as a Star Sapphire. I've said that from the beginning, and not that I asked Jeremy about this, but apparently he is reading my mind, and I know it's a short book. But all right, so if you're a fan of Green Lantern, and you're not reading this, then you should, because he's doing a good job. He's got some little holes here and there, but for the most part, it's a decent story. All right, so let's jump into a fan favorite. This is Ultimate Spider-Man. So this is about the Ultimate Universe, where an evil Mr. Fantastic has decided there's going to be no heroes, just because he felt like it. I don't really know the story behind why he decided that. But he went, changed time, and now there's no superheroes. So meanwhile, Stark found out about this and sent a thing to the future, or sent the thing to Peter with I don't understand how it's that particular spider, but he found the spider that bit him, and then he gave him a nano suit, and his daughter is the only one who knows who he is, except for now the Green Goblin came in, and that's Harry Osborn, and was able, I guess, because he has Stark Tech, he was able to knock down the mask and knows now who they are, and now they're becoming friends and confiding in each other and that kind of thing. And Harry is married to Gwen Stacy, and Peter is married to Mary Jane. And I think that, that kind of origin story, I like it. It's different, and it still, harkens back to the original one, but, we're seeing some changes because now he's older, he's fumbling because he hasn't grown up being a hero, and things like that. I like all that. But, with that being said, Hickman decides to make a really bad mistake here. In the last 2 issues, he's decided to go off on this, like, if I was a kid and I spent $5 for a Spider-Man book, right, because I got allowance or whatever else, and Spider-Man has not been in the book for 2 issues? What? The last issue was really bad, because all it was a dinner party. People save up money to go see Spider-Man in a book. And now 2 months in a row, Spider-Man has not been in it at all. Peter has been in it. People say, well, Peter's there. Yeah, but Peter that's like saying, yeah, I read a whole book about Clark Kent, or I read a whole book about Bruce Wayne. That's not Batman. Imagine having a whole book where Batman's not even in it. That's what we've had for 2 issues now. So this is all about Harry Osborn. Who cares? So if you're going to do a story about a side character, you've got to intermittently put the main character in it. This is horrible writing. How can you write a comic book called Ultimate Spider-Man and Spider-Man not be in the book? It's impossible. Why is this going on? So, yeah, I mean, we like to see some stuff about the villains and stuff like that, but not the entire book. Unless I'm buying a book called The Green Goblin, then this would be the perfect thing. But I'm not. I'm buying a book called Spider-Man. And Spider-Man's not in this book. So we have a different artist in here too, which kind of kills it too. But it's, he's at our dinner party. He gets called. I'm just going to go through this quickly. By his dad. His dad gets blown up. So Norman Osborn is officially gone. He has to take over. So we see him in the lawyer's office, with the will, and that he's going to take over Oscorp. Who cares? Who cares? Then the lawyer says, this was dropped off for you. And he goes, it was dropped off by Kingpin. And so he meets with Kingpin, and Kingpin tells him that he wants him to buy out one of the companies, and it ends up being Stark Tech to buy out. So they're going through Stark's things, and they find this secret entrance to his little cave underneath, where that has all the suits of armor. Then this is Doc Ock in the flat top, and he's getting into everything to, unload all the information or download all the information about the armors. Then they, with no reason whatsoever, he makes the Goblin armor. For what reason? We're never told. We're never told what Harry's motivation is to be the Green Goblin. Nothing. Just nothing. If he's trying to get back at, people that killed his dad, whatever else, we don't ever see it. So then we flash forward to the whole battle with Spider-Man and Shocker, and that he wants the gloves. That's his whole thing. He says, I don't care about the money, and Shocker's like, oh, I get to keep the money? And he's like, yeah, keep the money. I don't want it. I just want the gloves. And he's like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. And so he knocks him out and takes the gloves anyway. And there's a little thing about X-Men, which I don't know if I like Psylocke, and I like, although I don't like her new suit. I don't know why people insist on putting X's in the middle of people's faces, but it looks stupid. That's the worst version of Juggernaut I've ever seen. Now, I love magic, but I don't think I'm going to be getting that. And then we flash forward to his conversation with Peter, and that's it. Again, if I read this book as a kid, you wouldn't see me buying another one, because I'm not going to waste my money. I'm going to continue to see where it goes, but that's 2 in a row that have been trash. As far as I'm concerned, it's trash. So let's get back on track here, Mr. Hickman. You cannot sidetrack an entire story with the main character because you feel like it. So if this continues like this, I'm going to drop it. And that's probably sacrilege, because everybody's like, hey, this is the best thing ever! And no, you can't do that, man. If there was, back in the 70s, if Stan Lee said, yeah, I'm going to write a book without the main characters in it, everybody thought he'd be mad. And that's how we're doing it now. So, because now they're not really worth anything anymore. Anything after issue 5 is going to be not being worth anything. So the issue 1 and 2, I think, was worth something, but I think people are starting to drop it. So we'll see. Anyway, let's jump into, imagine if this was a TV show and we had no Spider-Man in it. Oh, that episode, yeah, we don't need the main character in that one. Fuck that. All right, Sacrifices by Rick Remender. This is issue number 8. So the little pigeon guy, this is like an alien world where we have the gods and stuff to that effect. And to please the gods, they have to sacrifice one of their family members. And in this case, it was the pigeon guy. And his parents treated him like complete garbage. His sister was the only person that treated him like a human being. They didn't even name him because he was purely the sacrifice. He was there to die, and they didn't want to be connected with him or be attached to him or to love him because it would be harder for them to give him up. So instead, they kept him in a barn and beat him regularly. And so then he was finally taken to be a sacrifice, and the gods, or the workers of the gods, extract fluid from the person's brain, or not person, but the animal, whatever they are, brain, and then they drink it like elixir, and that's how they remain young. So anyway, then the daughter of the sun god and the moon god, she gets in bad shape there, so he ends up taking her powers because the extraction, he ends up drinking it or whatever, because they extract her because there's a little internal battle going on. We don't even know if she's alive. She had tumbled off a cliff off the last one. We don't see her at all, which again I don't like, because these 2 issues should have been intertwined. I should have seen part of what's going on with Pigeon and part of what's going on with the daughter, or the princess in this case, because it was I think he's a guy, he's a king. So the sun god. So I would have rather it be intertwined than going, okay, here's the story about Pigeon. Here's the story about the other thing. If the issue should have been split in half, just like they would have been in a television show. But anyway, he decides he's going to go home. Again, he has the power of a god. And this is kind of like, if you've seen Godzilla -1, it's the same story. Because the guy was a kamikaze pilot in Godzilla, and here he was a sacrifice. They both return home, and they know that if he's returning home, he didn't fulfill his duty. So that's the same thing here. He returns home. Everything's being destroyed. There's just torrential winds. There's all sorts of storms going on. Everybody says the gods are pissed. They don't know why. And then he returns home, and he's like, oh my God, my whole family is destroyed, and not my sister, not my sister. So he runs up there, and yeah, there's no body. We don't really see any bodies or anything like that, but we see the teddy bear is destroyed, and I guess everybody is attacking him because, again, he's supposed to be dead, and they feel like he's the cause of all this, when he really isn't. They don't know he's still alive. Nobody besides the princess knows he's alive. And the guy that was having that internal struggle against the gods, the guy who creates the elixir. So it's more about the fact that the daughter is missing than about him, but they don't know that. So anyway, the king that was part of the orca girl, he invites him to dinner and he says, "This is all your fault," and blah blah blah, and my daughter, and she's like, "Yeah, your daughter died." But he's crying and everything like that. The guy gets pissed off, and that's where he starts crying on the bottom there. And he's like, I'm going to execute you myself because I have to please the gods. And he's like, all right, whatever. And he goes and puts his head on the chopping block, and then the axe comes down. And he's like, you know what? Yeah, I changed my mind. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to let anybody tell me what I'm going to do, and you're the least person after you gave up your daughter that I'm going to let do this. And he chops his head off and walks away. Oh, wow. A lot going on here. Again, I wish it was kind of split back and forth, but I do really like this, but it's not. It can't be a TV show because unless they changed all the characters to human-type characters or humanoid, in the face and stuff like that, because this would be very hard to do without being total CGI. And if you're going to make it total CGI, you might as well just make it a cartoon, an animated. So that's how I feel about this, is that the way to get this done would be animated in some way, but it's obviously made for adults, for sure, so it's not a kids' animated series. But I think it's very original, and I like it, and I guess we'll see what happens next. Ultimate Spider-Man, trash, and I'm very close to dropping it if he doesn't actually bring Spider-Man back into the story. And Green Lantern, been pretty good, and I'm interested to see where we go to the Star Sapphires. You can tell I'm really interested to drop the Star Sapphires, because we haven't seen Carol in the suit for a long time, and I want that whole dynamic back. And of course, she can't get married to this dude because we have to leave it open for Hal, and we can't have divorce in Green Lantern. So anyway, once again, thank you guys for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe. Think that thumbs up and click the subscribe button with the little bell, ding ding. And if you're not subscribed already, why the hell not? It's free. So, and remember that click the link below to find out more of the video you'll like anyway. I have a little video about the storyline and how to play and things like that. It's only about 2 minutes long. But check that out. It's fully animated. And remember Mythlords. And we have a Dark Wizard of Oz expansion. You get to play as the Wicked Witch in that one, and Dorothy, but also in the main box we have the classic monsters with Dracula, Wolfman, Frankenstein, and then we have the other characters in there, A Creature from the Deep, Bride of Frankenstein. They're all in here, and it's, in fact, the bride's right over here. So yeah, and there's the 4 commanders on this side. Really good stuff. Anyway, check that out. It's only $35, so it doesn't take much to jump in there. And I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you guys so much for watching. I am glad to be home, and I am looking forward to the next one. The next set that I'm on, that is. And, of course, the next video hanging out with you guys. All right? Thanks again, guys, and have a good one. Bye-bye.